Hello, everyone. It is April 6, 2022, and you're watching me, Nikki, for the Awesome 10X Philippine Market Update. Let's begin this Wednesday. So, amongst your edge disclosures, I believe that the most important part is to read all the declared cash dividends of SCC, DMC, FNI. These are wonderful news because, as we know, this year, a lot of people have been investing in these miners specifically because of the outlook of higher potential to pay even higher cash dividends as coal prices continue to go up. Okay, let's see what Semirara just shared here. Semirara said that all of the outstanding common shares will be getting 1 peso and 50 cents, and the board has approved that. That is a huge dividend for SCC. That is at least 5% for 30 pesos. Some people even have it at less than that. So that's why Semirara has been continuously going up. And the record date is as of April 18 with a payment date of April 28. That is for Semirara. Now, taking a look at DMCI, they're paying 34 cents and 19 cents, which is a total of 53 cents. 34 plus 14, sorry. So that's about 48 cents. That compares almost the same with last year. Last year was about 48 cents as well, April 12, 2021. So the market is everywhere ecstatic about DMC and Semirara. Now let's take a look as well with the FNI shares. You could see that FNI, the nickel miner, also declared a nice dividend here, really, making it double actually from 2022, paying 20 cents for all the FNI shareholders that are in the market as of record date April 20, ex-dividend date April 13. So let's take a look at how the share prices reacted. You're seeing that FNI continues to remain high because 20 centavos is at least 7% for the 3 peso mark. So even those people buying it at 298 are still expected to hit that 7% dividend, assuming that it still remains at 3 pesos after this few weeks. So my assumption is that there will remain to be a tight bid from now until April 14 for FNI at about 2.79. So you'll see that play out before the X date. So that's another week or so. I would argue as well that because of DMCI and Semirara, there will be less likely people to sell, or even if they sell, it would be selling at about 965, given that 48 cents, that is a big number. That is 5% even at the 9 peso mark. So DMCI has been strong there, and Semirara has also been strong here at 31.50, because even at 30 pesos, that is a big number, a 5% yield. So let's take a look aside from these three issues. Let's take a look what the Philippine markets are doing. Market value today is very low, 2.5 billion. Your index is 7,100, following a downdraft from US names with an aggressive rate hike happening in USA. You're seeing losers are larger, 111 decliners, 74 advancers. And big losers, let's take a look at that. Index movers on the loss side. Okay, on the loss side, let's just go through it. Luciatan is 9 pesos. Globe is 2.4. Emperador is 14. San Miguel Corporation is 109. Robinson's Land is 20 bucks. Mega World is 3. MPI is 378. Pure Gold is 37.5. Meralco is 373. Aboitiz Power is 36.7. Wilcon is 26.4. Metrobank is 56.6. AGI is 12.2. GT Cap is 523. JG Summit 58.8. Monde is 13 flat. Asen is 8.6. BPI is 9835. Aboitiz Equity Ventures is 59. BDO is 132. SM Prime is 3775. ICT is 222. Ayala Corp is 802. SM is 881. Amongst the only few winners for the day, URC 120, although slightly just 3% gain. Sorry, it's not 3%, it's just 1.6% gain. And then almost unchanged for your Ayala Land, trading at 35, PLDT 1824, Jollibee 230, Converge 2935, Security Bank 110. The Philippine markets index movers aren't much. I'd say that the big movers are still in your mining category. But let's take a look at top traded. So Semirara, of course, is a winner after that cash dividend, those cash dividends. And in fairness to FNI, it's trading at 298. So the rest of the market is quite muted. We understand that most of the big ticket movers in the Philippines have been high cash dividend payers, no? So GMA7 paid a good cash dividend, and people are still really loaded, or rather interested in which companies in the Philippines are giving a ton of dividends. Nonetheless, let's go read through this disclosure as well. So let's go through some all day. Okay, all day just made a material information here. Let's read through some press releases here, aside from so I think like we'll just read through some important news bits here. All day is reporting a board meeting resolution. Okay, not, I don't think that's a moving headline. Let's just go through the rest. OPM, what's this? Material information, what's this? Okay, additional exploration permit for nickel and other associated metals in Zambales and Dinagat Islands. So we would like to inform that the remaining two areas in Zambales are now designated by MGB as a potential for exploration. Well, that would be a good news if they really are able to uncover more nickel. As we know that the market is heavily in love in nickel prices, and that would actually be supportive of Nickel Asia. As it's falling down here at 786, 785, I'd say that the market is still very much willing to buy at 7.5 or lower for nickel prices, as the entire nickel as a whole in the world market is actually still on the uptrend, no? So it's still there, actually $44 per ton, which is almost triple from last well, still double from last year's 24. So really we're seeing still strength on nickel prices. So that would be a good news if OPM, although I don't think there is really anyone trading OPM. We can see very little trades here. So that news is good to know, but very little very little trading action on those. Let's read through the Aboitiz Power material information here. Okay, so Aboitiz Power, this has to do with the bonds. Yeah. Recently, another news that I have to share is that SM Prime has also done some bonds at about 5%. The Aboitiz Power bonds are fixed rate, 5% fixed rate bonds due on 2027, and another 5.7% fixed rate bonds due on 2029. That's about 5-year and 7-year. And I believe that the Philippine market is very receptive to the Aboitizes and even the SM Primes for these bonds. For those who are taking a look at these investments, maybe consider those 5% arena bonds from SM Prime as well as from Aboitiz Power. Your corporations are issuing a lot of these retail bonds. So I'm going to read to you the SM Prime. SM Prime here just set interest rates for their peso denominated series. It will be a 5-year retail bond with a 5.6%, a 7-year retail bond at 6%, and a Series R 10-year retail bond at 6.5%. SM Prime issued an aggregate principal amount of 15 billion pesos of Series P, Q, and R over subscription option of an additional 15 billion pesos. These bonds will be available April 7 to 13. So I would assume that within the next 6 days, a lot of people are gonna get and subscribe with SM Prime bonds as well as with these Aboitiz Power bonds. That would sap some liquidity as well from the market. As we know, some equity investors will be very much willing to put and park their money into these bonds. So these retail bond issuance will expand the company's property portfolios, including malls, residential developments, office, hotel, and drive further growth for the next coming 7 years. So yeah, this one is something that you might actually be interested upon if you are looking for high dividend investments, SM Prime bonds, as well as your um, SM Prime bonds and Aboitiz Power bonds. Aside from that, let's just read through this private placement on Shakey's. For those who are looking to make a really long-term stake, you might want to be interested with this one. Shakey's Pizza's private placement. So we know that Lance Gokong Wei and through JE Holdings has subscribed with a consideration of cash 1.25 billion pesos. 1.25 billion shares at 8 pesos. So that would mean that tama ba 1.25, sorry, this is 1 billion 250 million pesos or 150 million shares. Sorry. So that is the aggregate amount. It's 1.25 billion pesos or roughly $20 million. Take note that this is a long-term investment on Lance Gokongwei and JE Holdings part. This was revealed in the disclosure on May 12 about the May 12, 2021 for their pursuit of Shakey's, no? For the Shakey's Pizza and Potato Corner. So please refer to the May 12, 2021 for this relevant disclosure. Agree. So you're seeing that play out here. Let's just read through more disclosures on Shakey's Pizza. So that has been subscribed at 8 pesos roughly. So what you're seeing right now is actually the same price as Lance Gokongwei. Shakey's Pizza is trading at 7.77. And when you look at the chart of that, so it's actually almost corrected already from about 10.50 to about 7.70. Now, the reason why I think Shakey's Pizza is down there is because most restaurants still as a whole has to battle with inflation. So, but if you are really long term, I'd say that here at 750 is an interesting place to pick up even as it can go to about 660. So there will be a longer term phenomenon on inflation, and that is being priced in by the market as a potential downdraft for your restaurants. Whether that is a year or 2 years brought about by high oil prices on Ukraine, Russia, the contingent, the plan of the people is really to stay on the down on a lower growth outlook for all of your restaurants at the moment because of a potential high inflation spike. So pizza here trading at about 750, something to take a look at, or even Jollibee if it falls 10% lower. So something to understand, no? Maybe this falls 200 pesos. We'll try to see if our restaurants can be picked up on dips. Okay, let's read through more ideas and more news. Yeah, actually, this is a big news to discuss. The inflation rate of the Philippines is 4%. Let's just go through that news. Inflation, Philippines. So it was just revealed recently. It leaped to about 4% in March. This is amid skyrocketing fuel prices. You might have been seeing prices of food and oil are in tandem when it's going up. So it is gonna trickle down to all of your spending, and that spending could trickle from the likes of consumer discretionary or consumer staples. So Philippine inflation rose to 4% in March. This is 1% higher than Feb. Country's headline is now 4%. The following commodity groups have had higher annual increments: food and non-alcoholic beverages 2.6, housing, water, electricity, gas, other fuels 6%, transportation 10%, alcoholic beverage and tobacco 4.8, furnishings, household equipment, routine household 2.6, restaurants, accommodation 3%, information and communication 0.7%. So we are observing faster annual growth rates. Flour, bread, bakery, pasta 3.6%, meat, slaughtered animals 2.9, fish, seafood 4%, milk, other dairy products and eggs 0.8, oils and fats 9%. Sugar, desserts 6.2%, ready-made food, other food products 2%, healthcare, recreation, sport 2.5% and 1.5%. So economists are all, of course, not relaxing, trying to address and issue not to really lessen this high inflation rates, either by potentially adding more supply in terms of gas and fuels in the Philippines. So we'll see how the Philippine market will address inflation. But that is still a big problem that would trickle down to everything. And that's what's been happening for your URC. You could see that for the year, URC continues to be in a downtrend, although it rallied back to 120. The argument is that URC would have a harder time given the fact that most of the sugar, dairy products, and all of the manufacturing commodities are in a spike, which is their cost. Yeah, so you're still seeing that happen on URC and Monde. Monde is continuing to still go down here, still on the downside. Okay, I think the big news really for the Philippines is mostly on the cash dividends and the bonds. So if there's any thoughts, I'll go check your questions. Your thoughts on the CTS Global IPO. I am positive on it, but I believe that it is a very small IPO to begin with. So there might be shortage of shares in terms of brokerage allocation. So yon, we'll see how things play out. But I don't think that the CTS Global IPO is a very strong movement, or even if it does, it will be highly speculative on its first few days, simply because the profits will be generated from trading the world markets. So we'll see how they perform. Thoughts on DFNN potential catalyst with SpaceX? I don't think that these hype press moves are gonna have a huge. I'm not really quite confident, so I have no idea or any opinion about that. Um, I would read your question. Let's see. Let me read your question. DFNN's potential with SpaceX. Company disclosures. So the press release was done. Let's see. Acquisition. Says here that DFNN just acquired 5,000 shares, which will act as a conduit to internationally expand IT products and services in the future. So perhaps they want to reinvent their business model. I don't know if it will be successful to cater to internet services when there's Converge in the Philippines and there's PLDT and Globe. I don't know much about the potential here. I think it's still a risk, so I don't think the market is really acting upon it. Hi, Nikki. Is property sector a good long-term buy? I think right now, if you are looking for long-term ideas, looks like the SM Prime bond investment of the next 7 years is really positive, a good thing, a good deal. Because versus investing right now with SM Prime at 36 pesos, I think SM Prime is trading at 36 ba? Um, 37, 38. The market seems to be deploying more of their money into the bonds. So if you're bullish, you might as well just avail the SM Prime bonds, simply because all of that issuance, that 15 to 30 billion pesos issuance, will be deployed to this company over the next 5 years. So at least in the next 5 years, sitting pretty lang, if you put 100,000, 5% a year, that means that in 5 years' time, you'll get at least 25K, whether the property recovers or not. At least you're safer with that bond. My guess is that property sector are still in the midst of recovery, and it will take some time before they go up. And so it is prudent to continue to keep some of the cash into high dividend yield names, which is why we would advocate either the bonds right now on SM Prime. The Aboitiz Power bonds will also be an interesting idea, just as much as we advocated miners initially this year when we figured that they are the higher growth entities as well as stable cash dividend picks for this year. So I'd stick to that call, and not much in terms of changes in view. The only change in view that I will make is that if companies in the Philippines, such as Monde and URC, significantly decline in light of a higher inflation print, I would use that as an opportunity to possibly buy as a contrarian long. But since it hasn't really fully gone down, I would still continue to wait it out. So yun, not much to discuss except really huge cash dividends and bonds to avail of in the Philippines. So yun muna, and take it slow. Philippines seems to be in a slow trend, just trendless for now. and we will be watching updates more on the companies and their declared either declared news or earnings risks or earnings prowess. So yun, that's it. Thank you very much. We are still bullish on energy names. However, most of the energy names are really tilted in the US and not much in the Philippines. In terms of energy, you can only avail of Aboitiz Power, Semirara here, as well as those nickel miners. Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.